I'm Desi Serna, author of Fretboard Theory, Guitar Theory for Dummies, and Guitar Rhythm and Technique for Dummies. In this free guitar lesson, I'm going to show you how to play some of the parts from the song Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers. This lesson is suitable for intermediate level players on up who are already familiar with standard bar chords and rhythm guitar technique. You can follow along with free guitar tab. Just go to the link in the video description. And by the way, we're going to be focusing mainly on the verse and the chorus and the bridge. If you're interested in learning the intro, go to my channel and you will see that I have another video that teaches it. To get my sound for this song, I'm playing a Strat-style custom guitar here. This is from Bluesman Vintage Guitars, and it's got some Seymour, Duncan, Antiquity, Surfer pickups in it. I'm plugged into a little Fender Pro Junior. I'm not using the speaker on it. I'm actually going through this Rivera Silent Sister isolation cabinet, and it has a 12-inch Celestion Vintage 30. And then I've also got some reverb from my mixer. And I'm using the neck pickup. I will be using the neck pickup throughout this whole lesson. All right, so we're actually going to start in the verse, so make sure you have the tab in front of you. I've got it in front of me here, and I'll be referring to it throughout the lesson. Let me put the metronome click on, and let me play through this first part of the verse, and then I will slow it down and teach it to you one piece at a time. All right, so we're looking right at the beginning of verse 1 here in measure 1. The song is in the key of E, E major, so think E major scale. Think about the chords in the E major scale. I'm up here in this position, and the chords that you're going to play, these are standard A form and E form bar chords. Here's E, A, C sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, and then the second time around, you take out the G sharp minor. Straight out of the E major scale, if you were going to number this chord progression, it's 1, 5, 6, 3, 4, 1, 5, 6, 4. So it's basically 1, 5, 6, 4, which is one of the most common guitar progressions in all of popular music. As far as the rhythm goes, we do have a little bit of syncopation here. The chord changes do not all land right on the downbeat where you'd expect. Some of them are an eighth note off on the upbeat. So for example, E is on the downbeat of 1, but then B comes in on the and of 2. So it's 1, 2, and 3, 4. C sharp minor is on the downbeat. But then the G sharp minor is on the upbeat, and the A is on the upbeat. So it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So 1, 2, and, whoops, I'll do that again. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. You want to let the chords sustain. You're not really using a strum pattern here, so notice that I was kind of punching out these chord changes all with downstrokes. If you were keeping your hand moving, then the notes on the upbeats would be played with an upstroke. But I just don't think it's necessary to keep your hand moving because there's so much space here. But you can do it however you want. So those are the chord changes. There's a repeat. You play through them twice, and then after this you play an E major 7 chord. Here's a great example of using a major 7 chord. So take a look at that in the tab. It's based off of a standard A form bar chord here. Here's your root E. Here's an octave E. If you go down a half step, there's your major 7. So if you want to put that note in D sharp, and this is how you rearrange your fingers. You could even put the fifth string in, the first string in there as well. But I don't think I heard the first string on the recording. I just heard. So that's an E major 7 chord there. All right, next we're going to pick up measure 7, verse 2. Same chord changes, but this time the rhythm part gets busier, and so there's additional strumming. You have some added chord tones, some hammering on, pulling off, slides. So let me turn my metronome on. Let me play through this part for you up to tempo, and then I will slow it down and I'll teach it to you part by part. All right, so we're picking up here in verse 7, same chord changes, but a lot more happening. So to start with, on that E, you play, okay, so you've got 16th notes, and you play 1 E and you play E on 1 and on If you're strumming 16th notes, it's down, up. The B chord is still on the and of beat 2, so you have to decide whether you're going to continuously strum 16th notes through here and then play every note on its appropriate downstroke or upstroke, or whether you're going to kind of go back and forth between 8ths and 16ths, your call. So, all right, B, so notice I'm playing the B Hendrix style here because you're going to use some Hendrix style rhythm technique starting right here. All right, so that is, there's your B, and then follow the tab here. You're just playing some pieces of this chord. Here's a hammer-on pull off. That makes like a suspension right there, be suspended. From here, you're going to C sharp minor. You're going to do it Hendrix style again, and you're going to slide into it like this. Let me back up. And you just ended on the downbeat, and the very next upbeat, you have your G sharp minor, played Hendrix style, and then your A, Hendrix style. And then that A is followed by a little hammer-on pull-off on the first string like this. So it's kind of like an A, add 9. From the beginning of this section. I want to point out that this is how I play it. Obviously, it sounds very similar to the original version, but there may be some differences. If you follow the link to go to my website and get the free tab, you'll notice that I have links to the complete and official guitar tab if you'd like to purchase it to see how the original recording was played. But this is going to get you pretty close, if not note for note, at least in some spots. But there's a lot to learn from my lesson here. So let's keep going. So we just finished measure 8, and then in measure 9, you play through the same changes again, and you have similar licks. But you don't play G sharp, right? You go straight to A this time around. And that A is simply followed by a little arpeggiation there. So this is the second time around through the changes. So the first time you go to G sharp and the second time you don't, and you end a little bit differently on the A, and that's the only difference. Then you play through all of that again. It repeats. I have it written the same, and then after the repeat, you play an E major 7 again, like you did earlier. So this is a great example of how you can take some standard A and E form bar chords. You can break them up where you're just focusing on pieces of them. You're fingering them a little bit differently, kind of in a manner that Hendrix popularized. You're adding in some hammer-ons and pull-offs and some slides. Those were called articulations. You had, you know, a suspension there, an add 9, just to add more variety to the part. So this helps you kind of think outside of the box. You know, you don't always want to be stuck in a rut of just always going. You can syncopate. You can hit chords on the and of certain beats. You can break them up. You can play portions of chords. You can use articulations. You can add in some other chord tones and stuff. So this is really a great example of some important rhythm guitar techniques here. So we just wrapped up the verse, and that's all I'm going to cover with the verses. I want to move on to the chorus now and talk about its changes. So the chorus starts at measure 13. So we're still in the key of E here. And the chorus is going to use the 2 chord, F sharp minor, and the 1 chord E. Then you're going to come all the way up here to the 5 chord B, and I'm playing these all as A form bar chords along the 5th string. And you come back to F sharp minor. Let me turn my metronome on. I'll play it to beat, and then I will teach it to you. All right, I cut it a little short there, but it goes back to the verse, which is played in a similar manner to what I showed you earlier. You can listen to the song or take a look at the official tab if you want to learn more about that. But let's talk about this verse. So F sharp minor, E, B, F sharp minor. You start in F sharp minor, you end in F sharp minor, you restart again at F sharp minor. And we've got some more syncopation here. So looking at measure 13, you actually start on the and of beat 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and. And then you go to E, and it's played on the and of beat 2, and then immediately on the downbeat of beat 3 and beat 4, like this. So it's 1 and 2. Whoops. Let me do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Then you come up here to B. You play 16th notes, starting right on the beat. Then you come back to F sharp minor. Again, this is syncopated, so on the and. So that is measure 14 there. B. I actually just noticed in my tab, I have the B written here, don't I? Same thing. Look, here's B, and then you got these 3 notes here. You could play the same notes here. Think about B maybe in C form like this, or think about it in D form like this, right? So there's B, open B. So you could play the B there or here. It doesn't really matter. You have the option there. All right, so you come back to the F sharp minor on the and of 2, and and then you hit it again on the end of 3, and right on beat 4. So tap your foot, pay attention to when you play on the beat and when you play off the beat. And then after this, you have a couple muted strokes at the end of measure 14 and a couple more at the beginning of measure 15. And there's your rest, and you go right into the F sharp again, and it repeats. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or you can play the B here. And it goes on. So that's the chorus. All right, next we're going to take a look at the bridge. Let me play through it for you, and then I'll show it to you. All right, so we're picking up now at the bridge, measure 17. Let me show you this in steps so you can see where these chords come from. So the way that I view this, I see these chords as being based on A, C, G, and F. And you could, if you want to think of A as your primary chord here, so this is kind of a key change now. We're no longer in the key of E. If you want to think of A as your primary chord here, this would be kind of some modal interchange where you've got, 1, flat 3, flat 7, flat 6, kind of playing around an A major chord, but borrowing chords from a parallel scale A minor. I talk all about that in my theory courses. I'm not going to get into those details right now. So A, C, G, F. I'm playing everything as E form bar chords except for that C. I'm over here on the 5th string. All right, the next step is we are going to skip the 6th string on all chords, and we're going to play the 5th string open. So go through each chord and remove your finger from the 6th string and skip that string altogether. Remove your finger from the 5th string and play it open. So your A becomes this. Your C will become this. Your G will become this. Your F will become this. And you would call these chords, this is still A. This would be called C/A. G/A. And F/A. And we've got one more thing we're going to add. We're also going to play the 1st string, E, open on each chord shape. So your A, if you remove your first finger from the 1st string, becomes this. Your C becomes this. Your G, F. So now, since A and E are already part of an A chord, that doesn't change the name of this chord, it's still A. Maybe you never realized that you could put in those open strings. It's a different sound. The C has an E in it already, so you'd call this C/A still. Because here's E in the C chord already. When you add a E on top of a G chord, it becomes a G6. So you would call this G6/A. When you add an E on top of an F chord, it becomes F major 7. So you call this F major 7/A. So A, C/A, G6/A, F major 7/A. All right, now let's talk about the strum pattern. This is a 16th note strum pattern. And you've got some syncopated chord changes here. So you start on A, and then you go to the C/A, which, by the way, happens to be share notes with an A minor 7. If you think A minor 7, the notes that make up a C/A are the same notes that you'd find in an A minor 7 chord. So you could also call this A minor 7. I called it C initially because I think the concept really comes from that type of movement. But in the tab, it's labeled A minor 7. Same notes. So as you go to that second chord, it comes in on, it's syncopated. It comes in on the and of 2. And the actual strum pattern is 1 E and 2 E and. It's, you just want to think about the strokes. It's down, down, up, down, down, and there's an accent and a chord change there. And then after that, you strum up, down, down, up, down. So it's, that's how I play it. There's probably some variation in the song, and you could add some variation to it here, but that's how I'm going to play it right now. It fits well. So it's, so just rehearse that for a minute. And then you repeat that same syncopated chord change and strum pattern for the other chords as well. All right, so you actually repeat that, you repeat it 3 times. Then you get to the last line in my tab, and here you have this kind of neat breakaway from those chord changes, and some new chord changes are introduced. And let me play it with the metronome. I already played it, but actually I already played it. So it sounds like this. Then it goes back to the other changes. So let me explain what these chords are and where they come from. So remember, we're kind of thinking of this as having an A tonality. So these changes are F, E7, and G. So if you've studied my instruction on modal interchanged, borrowed chords, and that sort of thing, we could think of the F as being borrowed from the parallel scale A minor. Same with the G. We could think of that E7 as being either from like A harmonic minor. It's got kind of a harmonic minor sound there. I would think of this as basically A minor chord changes until you get to A, then it becomes A major. Because the A minor and the A harmonic minor scale have F, E7, and G in it. But then you actually use that to move to an A major, not an A minor. Okay, so let's play the chords up here. Here, let's do, here's F, here's E, here's G, and then back to A. We're not done yet. We are going to add some chord tones here. So here's F, and if you reach up to the 12th fret on the first string, that would be F major 7. Here's E, and if you reach up with your pinky to the 10th fret of the first string, that would be E7. Then you can come up here and just play a plain G major. So you got F major 7, E7, G. And you could leave the 5th string out of this, so your F major 7 would just become this, and you could fret it like that, which is probably easier for you. And then your E7 would just become this. And So you've got F major 7, E7, G. You could even play the G back here like this if you want. A little D shape. When I play this, I usually play strings 1, 2, and 3, just those strings like this. But you could put the 4th string in there as well. Whatever, you get the idea. I'm not really sure how it was done in the recording, but either one is going to sound pretty close. And you play this as 16th notes, and it's straight 16th notes. There's no syncopation here. There's no funny changes or accents or anything. You just go. And so on. Well, that wraps up the parts that I wanted to cover in the song. You know, I reference this song a lot in my books and in my videos because I like the way that it uses chord progressions. I like the way that it uses chord shapes and added chord tones. And you've got major 7ths and you've got 7ths. I love the modal interchange. I just think this is a really brilliant composition, and I just absolutely love the guitar playing in it. I love the intro as well, which I mentioned earlier. I actually cover in a different video. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this free guitar lesson. If you would like to learn more about music theory for guitar, including guitar scales, chords, progressions, modes, and more, then visit my website at guitar-music-theory.com. That's guitar music theory with dashes in between the words. When you get there, you can sign up to join my email list. You can receive some free materials, and you can preview some of the full music theory courses that I offer. Well, thanks for watching. Please click like on this video and leave me some positive comments.